We'll see who comes in here. A minute. And we'll see who's first. Here we go. Hey, big dog, can you hear me okay? That's my first question. Hope you can hear my signal. Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Hmm. I'll, can you hear me now? Okay, I can hear me, so I guess you can too. Okay. Anyway, well, welcome to Big Dog. And if anybody else wants to chime in here, please feel free to write in the comment section, say hello, and we'll get started here. Got a lot of things to cover this afternoon, so I kind of want to wait until we get a few people in here. So I will just keep checking all my stuff properly. Yep, that's going good. Okay, got everything sharpened up. Hey, little gamer. So, are you little gamer? Do you turn wood at all, or are you just interested in wood turning, or what's the deal? Galactic Guard. I'm getting some usual people in here today. That's okay. Please hit the like button if you're here, and subscribe to the channel if you like watching the wood turning. It's a lot of fun. And just seeing. Okay. Oh, you just want to see how I do it? Okay. Well, that's fine. Stick around, and we'll show you. Okay. I'll treat it as these are always learning experiences, no matter how long you've been turning. So I'm sure you'll learn a few things today. Obviously, starting with the lathe and the piece of wood I got on here, which is actually part of a tabletop. This was a tabletop, and now we're going to make it into well, this one's going to be kind of a dip bowl, and then we're going to make some platters to go with it. Is that Ron? Hi, Ron. How you doing, Ron? Good to see you. Ron and I are going to be going out to. I think Ron, are you going to be going with us to go out and destroy some wood tomorrow? Take another shot at that sycamore that we had. That should be a lot of fun. And Alex, great. You're watching in the garage. Well, that's good because you shouldn't be allowed in the house. So that makes perfect sense, Ron. I mean, Alex. Okay, well, I'm going to get started here. And the first thing I want to do before we go any further is I want to say thank you to LJ Woodworks. Todd, he sent me this really cool sticker. We've been doing some sticker exchanges here, and certainly if you guys have any wood turning stickers you want to send to me, my email address is in the description of my channel, and you can contact me there, and we can do an exchange. But this came in actually a very nice little note card with it, and I really appreciate the note, Todd. And this is going on my refrigerator because although Whacking Shack and 77 Rockets have a place here, there's just not going to be enough spot for all the different stickers. So this is going to be going on my refrigerator because I have a lot more space on there. And that is if I can give my big fat fingers to remove the sticker, and if not, I'll have to do it later. Let's see. There we go. There we go. All right. So LJ, you're getting a right by the top. There you go. You're now on the refrigerator, and there'll be plenty of others to join that one, I hope. And thank you very much again for the card that came with it. Now, if you were here on Wednesday, guys, if you guys were here on Wednesday, you saw me working and struggling a little bit with a piece of this sycamore that we had. And you'll see right here, it's got moisture on it. I've wrapped this in saran wrap and I've been microwaving it. And so, of course, that traps all the water that comes out of it. Put a couple pinholes in here so some could evaporate out. Last night I went ahead and opened this, and a little bit came out, and I'll try and show this delicately if I can without taking the whole thing apart. As you can see in here, there is wet side and dry side. And that was the problem we were having with the turning, is because one side of the wood was a lot wetter than the other, and it was throwing it off and making it run lopsided. This side of the wood is a lot drier than that side over there, and this shows up here. You can see that. So what I'm going to do is continue to dry this using the microwave method, where you put about for a minute, you microwave it, then you let it sit for a couple hours, then you do it again, and you microwave it. And on the bottom too, you can see the moisture is right here. It's not so much right here. So that's what's happening, is it is evaporating at a pretty good pace. And I'm going to have to recover this later on, but the idea is to not let it dry out too fast, but to kind of steam it out of there a little bit so that I have a more equal distribution of water in the bowl, and we can actually turn it without it going like it's lopsided or something. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, wanted to show you these. I hope this comes across in the camera. But take a look at these pieces of redwood and the figuring on those. And I'm still kind of trying to figure out exactly what I want to do with these. If anybody has a good suggestion on what we might be able to do with these, they're redwood. They are not heavy. This is very, very, very light wood. And it's relatively soft for turning, so it's not going to make like a good handle or anything like that. But it's too beautiful not to do something with, right? So probably spindle work. I'm not sure, but I got these two pieces. I got a couple others too that kind of go with it. But I just love the waves in this redwood. And then I have this flame piece of walnut, and this flame piece of walnut, you can see it flames out, or maybe I should put it this way so you can see it better. Flames out. This is a flat surface. Those wobbles you see is in the design of the wood itself, not the surface. The surface is perfectly flat, but it gives the illusion of 3D effect of it being waved across here, and the flames come up. And I want to do something with this too, but I'm just not sure what to do with it yet. So, both of those, if you have any ideas, let me know, or send me an email or something, and we can talk about it, but those are both really nice pieces of wood that I'd like to do something special with down the road. Okay, so thank you on both of those counts. Rice cereal bowls. Big Dog, when you make a rice cereal bowl, your cereal bowls are this big. So I've seen yours before. So let's get started with this. I'm going to switch to take my glasses off here, and I'm going to switch to my mask. We had a guy on earlier with Mike who was talking about OSHA. He says you should be wearing the OSHA should be notified that you're not following the guidelines for safety and all that. And it's like, well, first of all, OSHA has nothing to do with what a person's doing in their own home. Sorry. Second of all, you should get an approved mask, a NIOSH approved for filtering, an OSHA approved for the structure of the mask. You don't want something that's going to break if something hits it. You want to have a good mask. This particular mask is really good, but it's also very expensive. There's some others that you can do that are less expensive than this. But I like to have the protection. But for those of you that were asking earlier about what do you do with the turning, I'm going to turn this piece of wood, and you'll notice it's a little bit out of round, right? Hear that? Okay. So I have this tool rest right here, and this tool rest is where I stay behind. I keep my hand behind the tool rest, and instead of trying to go straight in, a lot of people do this, and you get that bang, 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 right? We're going to come in from the bottom side here. And we're going to do that one more time. And we're not perfectly around, but we're really close to it right now. Let's see. See, it's no longer banging around. It's very, very lightly. Okay. So we're already in round. Pretty much. Just from that first two turns. That's a much easier, much safer, and much better way to not remove a lot of wood, but also to get control of the wood and go underneath it. Just follow this bevel right here when you do it. So for now, I'm going to clean that up a little bit, and then we're going to go back to the back side. And I'm just going to use this skew. Just letting it kind of float up there and catch any little high spots that I missed when I was going through it. Okay. That's the whole idea here. Just catch any little high spots. Okay. That feels pretty good. And it looks pretty good. And there's a little bit of end grain right in here, but most of this is a little bit here. A lot of side grain. It's going to be fine because this is laminated wood from a tabletop. So it's not all one piece of wood. So what we're going to do is come around to this side. And we don't want to make a tenon because that would take away too much of the wood. So we're going to make an inverted tenon or a reverse tenon, or however you want to call it, right in here to hold this while we turn it around and do the other side. So for that, I'm going to use my small spindle gouge. There's the center. You can see the center. It's not here about there. That was just to kind of establish about where I want to start. And I'm probably going to go a little bit deeper than that. I'm going to go a little bit wider. That's just the start. I'm going to put a light on here so you can see a little better. There you go. Okay, let's go here. There we go. Now we got in theory we have more than enough to hold on to there. That's about 1/8 of an inch, and 1/8 of an inch is all you need to hold on to this. Okay. Hey, Thunder Gouge, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. So I'm going to take my gouge now and just kind of see about where we're at. Close this up. About time to take this apart and clean it, I think, one of these days. You should take your gouges apart carefully every once in a while. Okay, that is really close. Boy, I was just right on with my cut. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit, and we'll be ready to rock and roll on that. That was really good on the first try. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit bigger. Get my dovetail in there. Clean up the outside. Just make sure everything's nice and clean. We're going to get a little bit of a slope to it. Because we don't need it to be just a flat bottom here. We want to give it a little bit of a look, a little style. Okay, pretty good. There's a little bit of rough spot right there. Okay, pretty good. Okay, so now that we got that established, and maybe we can get a little decoration here too. Let's see. Can we be decorative at the same time? Just for the fun of it. Just so it's not the same old boring bottom, right? Okay, go back and make that a little bit better. There we go. Good. That'll show up a little bit more after we get the sanding done. And this one we're going to do pretty straightforward. We're going to do the others a little bit differently, but this first one we're just going to do kind of straightforward. Please do hit that like button and subscribe if you can. We are within about he runs out of for medical fish. Okay. He's gonna watch us turn. Okay, well that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Watching is good. And hey Mike, thank you for coming in. Mike, I appreciate you leading in the people today. That was very nice of you. And it looks like a few of them followed. And I do appreciate that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just give it a very quick, because this is pretty smooth. Just going to give this a very quick sanding. Just to make sure everything is cleaned up. I guess I should turn this on. collect the dust. Okay. And I'll go up one more. I'm going to go really fast on this one. Not really pressing on it, just letting it ride over it. Oh yeah, that is nice. That is nice. Okay. That's really nice. I like nice and smooth. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put, because this is dry, I'm going to go ahead and just use Howard's on this. I'm not going to use any tung oil today. We're just going to put Howard's, which is beeswax and orange oil. It's available anywhere. It's available. You'll see it even on my items description for this video, but I'm not pushing it there. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart or just about any place and get it. Ace Hardware probably has it. And it's pretty expensive, and it really puts a nice sheen on it right away, and it is food safe. So all those things, let's see, all those things combined make it a really, really good thing to use on these kind of turnings. So make sure you keep it shook up so that you have wax at the end. Sometimes people don't shake it up much. At the end, they get down to the bottom of the bottle and it's all globbed up, or all the wax is gone and there's just orange oil. You got to keep it mixed. And I always use this chip brush just because they're cheap and I'm cheap, and it does the job. Why go out and get an expensive fancy brush when this does the job, and it gets right down into those crevices that I couldn't do if I was using a rag or towel. And of course, I lose a few bristles every time because it's probably about time to change this one out. So there is that. You see, this has a nice color to it. Okay. And we'll take a towel here and just kind of wipe it down a little bit. Kick that up, get a little friction polishing going there on the wax. And you can also put this on a buffing wheel when you're done. Get a higher gloss or higher buff finish on it, but I don't really think you need to necessarily. This sucks that in pretty good. It probably can use a couple coats because it is kind of dry. It's an old tabletop, so the wood that was used to make this years ago is probably dried out really well. You saw it turned really fast, so I'm guessing that it is probably going to absorb a couple coats of that at least. Okay, but for now we'll just take this and there we go. Take this off. This is what the other side looked like. This was the actual tabletop, and you can see it had some sort of a I don't know, shellac or some type of finish to it. But we're going to remove our faceplate, and I love these square drive screws. They make it so much easier than a Phillips head does. Does it grab better? Doesn't slip out. And using a stainless steel screw, these are about 1-inch stainless steel screws. They don't break. They don't rip. Never use a drywall screw. because you will regret that thoroughly. Trust me, you will regret that a lot. Because drywall screws will snap off in hardwood, and then you'll be spending about an hour trying to dig the rest of that screw out of that hole with everything that you can think of to try and do it. So put this on here. Oops. And open the jaws up. Make sure that I'm on tight. I'm going to spin it just to see. It's a little bit off, so I think I need to adjust that just a little bit. Because it should ride pretty smoothly. That's a little better. Okay. Tighten there. Tighten there. Tight. Okay, now we're going to go in on the inside of this and see if we can make a bowl. So for you that were asking earlier, this is how we make bowls. Create a tenon on one side to hold it, turn it around and work on the inside, and cross our fingers that nothing goes flying off. That's pretty much how you do it. Want to get that surface off of there. Of course, realize I'm dealing with laminated wood here. There's 1, 2, looks like 3 pieces of wood here glued together very well at one point. We need to make this a lot thinner, this wall. Okay. And this is where I'm going to switch. I've been working with the different gouge angles, and I'm going to switch gouge angles now that I'm inside. I'm going to see how this one performs. So this is for my own interest as much as anything else. Just want to see. Will this one act any differently? Well, I want to tell you, that wood that is getting really hot. These are really, really, really warm. I'll put these over in my trash can. There's a lot of friction in that. So this is a pretty dense wood they use for making this this tabletop. They weren't laminating pine or something. They were using real hardwood. Quite a bit of ribbons there. Love those pretty ribbons. Make sure you're hitting the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. We're only 50 away from getting our 5,000 subscribers, so you might be the one that puts us over the top. It'd be great if we could do that today. It doesn't cost anything. Subscribing is free. And I do have memberships, but there's no obligation there. I keep the membership as cheap as I can at 99 cents. YouTube wouldn't let me do it any cheaper than that for membership. And for members, I'm starting to put out more individual content or content that you see first, and then it goes public later. We've done a few live turnings just for members. So the more members we get in the community, the more fun that'll be. But again, no obligation. I'd rather you were subscribed than being a member, to be honest with you, because subscribing lets YouTube know that there's interest. And when the algorithm sees that people are watching, it pushes us more. Some of our videos have had over 200,000 views. The algorithm kind of giveth and taketh away. If it finds that you're only getting, say, 7,000 or 8,000 people watching, it backs off. So Okay, I'm starting to get a little bit of bowl-like looking to this. Hey, Michael. Mr. Wilson, how you doing? I appreciate you spending your late evening with us. I know it's like, 9:30 over there? Like that? In Scotland, and the day is winding down. I'll make you a deal, Michael. You sit in your chair, just leave this on. I'll put you to sleep. Okay? Okay. I just want to see where we're at. We're right about here, and we want to be right about here. So we got another little ways to go. Got to watch the center. We don't end up with a peekaboo hole here. We do need to come out here some more. I do like how this 45-degree works coming around the inside of the bowl. It really helps. And Mr. DeWalder, Whacking Tech, this is in the aluminum grade. This is a 17.5-inch handle. In case you're interested, you were asking the other day. I believe this is something you have an 18-inch handle. And I did use the bicycle wrap here on the handle for my hand, just to make it a little bigger for my particular mitts. So we were talking about that the other day. I figured I better pull it out and show you. Okay. Now I'm just going to check my depths again. I know I got a 1/8-inch tenon in here, and I'm right about here. So I've got about maybe a 1/4 inch there, maybe a little bit less here because it's kind of sloped a little bit. So I'm going to have to kind of bottom this out here if I can. Bring this across a little bit. I know it feels rough, but it's not. Okay. Okay. Take a little look here. Look here. And I think this is time for the scraper. Okay. See how we're doing there? I'm going to check my thickness using a thickness gauge. I love these. They're cheap. You can get them on Amazon. They're great for checking your thickness because you go like this and you look down here and you go, okay, at this point I am at about a half an inch, and on the sides I am at about a little over a quarter inch. So I can go down. Here I'm pretty good, and I'm getting a little white. So I got a little bit of room. I still got a little bit of room I can take out. So that kind of lets me know. So let's take out a little bit more. I want to make sure that's nice and smooth. Okay. That's feeling good. Got to clean this up just a little bit more here. Okay, got a clean edge there. Got to take care of this knot here on the inside. Had to take care of that. We've got a rough spot right in here from the end grain and a little bit on the bottom. So we'll just kind of squeeze that out just a little bit. I want to make sure we don't have a hump or anything. It's nice and smooth. Feel that? Okay. Double check with my calipers again. We're now at about the same as we are on the outside. Right about the same there. And right about the same here. About a quarter of an inch. Remember, we've got a tenon that's inside that. So only about 1/8 of an inch right here. So when we start sanding, we don't want to go too much further. So that's where we are right now. Let's see if I can catch up with you guys for a second. Okay. Yeah, drywall screws never used. 91 people here at the time. That was great. And then it'd be nice to have a few more subs out of that. But, how many are in here? If you're new, please consider subscribing. Be one of the 50 people that puts us over the 5,000 mark. That'd be great. Would love to see that today. It would make my day, that's for sure. Probably make Mike's day too. Then he'd stop bitching about it. So Mike's on his way to bigger and better things. I think Mike's going to be at 10,000 pretty soon. The way he's going, going to be at 10,000 subscribers. Ryan's going to be at 100,000 pretty soon if he keeps it up. So some of the guys here are really moving. Wilson, you're getting more. Can't keep your signal. Gotta keep work on your tenons. Mine suck. Yeah, well, Wilson, the thing is that this is 1/8 of an inch tenon. That's all that is. And you've seen me do those on videos before. You don't need to go deep. You just need to have a good round connected tenon and a good set of jaws on your chuck. Okay, I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to try to do this without a mask on. And this is just like an 80 grit. This is just for forming. This to take out any little imperfections. That's all this was for. Okay. We go to about a 120 or so here, and I'm going to reverse it. Reversing helps you take out any strands that are going in the opposite direction. And you notice when I'm in reverse, I bring it up in this way, not down the other way. That's because this is the centrifugal force of the way it's turning. I would catch more if I was going this down here. It'd be coming up and it'd be pushing against me here. I'd be going blunt into it. This way, it's coming away from it's coming into it like this. It's a little better angle. See the difference there? And we're going to turn it around the other way, real quick. Don't ignore the middle. When you ignore the middle, you end up with a hump. You don't want a hump. I'm just going to give this a very quick, and I mean by quick, like 10 seconds or less, highlight on this next grit. I think that's all we need. Get this kind of looking nice. Okay. That's all we need. All right. I can turn this off and wipe this out a little bit. Get the dust out of there. Okay. pretty looking bowl, pretty wood anyway. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put some wax on the inside. And we'll put a little bit more on the outside again too. Oop, catch that very quickly. You can see how quickly this cleans that up, sucks it in. It's almost all gone. What I just put in here is almost all gone. I put some more in here. It is pretty dry wood. It is going to take a couple coatings of this. We'll put a little bit more on the outside too. Got it on the brush. There's the outside and there's the inside. And this is one. This would be for the dip or condiments or whatever that you're putting in here. And the other ones are going to be a little bit larger. And they'll be our plates. And we're going to do them in a little bit different style. So this was just the first one, just to get a feel for the wood, see how it turns. So I can go on to the next one and see how it turns, because everyone's going to be a little bit different since they are laminated. And they are going to be a little different. Okay, got that on there. And I turn this down just a little bit. Don't need it real fast at first because it just flings stuff everywhere. All right. Now we can go. There we are. And we'll take it off. Get ready for the next one. That. So you use a 1/8 inch tenon. Create a nice bowl. I may go back and fix this. And that's the nice thing about this tenon. It's because it's still on here. I can always go back and decide, I don't like this angle. Maybe I want to go down a little bit nicer with that. So I can always go back and return and fix this if I want to. But that's a really nice tenon. That one works really good. So good. That's the first one out of the way. And by the way, just to see how close we were on the bottom, because I do like to check myself. We had that much left. You see this end down here? That's how much was left. Just over about a little bit over 1/8 of an inch. Not quite, about 1/8 of an inch. So I was absolutely right on my evaluation of how the depth was. That's how much room we had left. So if I had gone any further, we would have ended up with a peekaboo bowl. In fact, you almost see through this, not quite. So that's why you want to be real careful and you want to use your calipers to avoid any of those kind of issues along the way. Okay. So any questions while I'm doing this, by the way? You love a pretty hole. Yeah, well. Yeah, we're not looking for those pretty holes today. So, and by the way, for those of you that were not here earlier, I'll bring this back out in between here. This is the one that I was arguing with on Wednesday. And as you can see, all this moisture on here, I've been microwaving it. And sure as heck, like I was saying, Mike, Look where the moisture is. The moisture, this half is wet, this half is more dry. This is where the problem was, is all because it had been laying on the ground for so long, the moisture had all gone to this side of the wood, and that's why we were getting that warping feel, even though it was perfectly round. So all the weight was on one side of this, and it was pretty heavy. I mean, this was still about 8 pounds or so, 8 or 9 pounds. So slowly microwaving it out, we will get it down to a reasonable size here eventually. Okay. Now we got bigger one. And this one we're going to maybe make a little bit of a look to it. Now you notice this time I've got the because it doesn't really matter which side you're using. I've got this side is going to be the bottom. This side's going to be the top over here. A little bit different. Instead of going on the laminate side, we're going to go in on the other side. So move that a little bit. And this one doesn't look like I spent much time trying to get a really sharp or really good circle out of the cut. So this one will be a little bit more interesting, I think. It may bob and weave just a little bit more than the other one did. We'll see. Okay. Let me get my mask on here. And again, we're going to come in from the bottom and in through the side. Okay. In this particular one, I want to come in at an angle more. So not only do I want it round, but I want it to have a little bit of a more of a soup bowl kind of look to it. Or as Big Dog would say, just a bigger cereal bowl. Right? Because the Big Dog, this is a cereal bowl. Okay. Let's see where I'm going to have to round this up just a little bit more. I'm looking up here and I can see the angle just a little bit differently here. So I'm going to give this a little bit of an OG kind of look to it. Okay. So just a little bit of a curve in. Then a little bit out. And around the bottom. Just a little bit. And we'll give that a little bit more of a character here in just a minute too. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see. Gotta fix that right there. There's a little chip. A little chip I had to take out of there. Right there. So I gotta make sure that I get that removed. Otherwise it's gonna look really funny. That means I gotta dig a little bit more out of here. There we go. Okay, that's good. I think I can work with that. It's got a little bit of a interesting pattern to it. And just to set it off a little bit, I want to see what this looks like. Woo! You want to do that? Okay. Okay, I think that's good. I think I need to do a third one. I will go back and kind of clean up that little skip. There we go. I think that gets that pretty good. All right. Now we're ready for the backside. And we know this is flat, so it makes it really easy to just kind of trim it off a little and make our tenon. So what we'll do is we'll mark the tenon first. Okay. And I need to go up a little bit. There's the center. Okay, and we can stay right about here. That's where we'll put the tenon. Okay, just to kind of outline it. You want that to be as flat as we can, round as we can, and I want to take this off. So I have to kind of clean this off of here. Now you can see how light I'm touching that because you see it's not coming off everywhere, right? When you're using a skew, this is a great way to watch a skew work. Using a skew, this is a skew. Skew uses either front or the back of the tail. It doesn't use the whole thing. And you can take it off in very light passes, like that. Or you can be a little bit more aggressive. I wonder what I'm hitting here. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted you to be able to see how a skew works. It's very light passes. You're not taking much off at any one time. You're just removing a tiny amount. Okay? Just a tiny amount. I'm going to go back and make this just a little bit more of a turn. And we're at the right depth. Now I'm going to have to probably widen it out just a little bit to make it fit. Yeah, right there. So that fits right in there. Perfect. Good. Okay. Let me just kind of clean that up a little bit. Make sure it's nice and flat. Don't want any wobble spots. Not sure where that bouncing is coming from. I think I can take that out with the sanding. Right there. Just a little bit. Might be just a little bit harder wood is what that might be. It might be that one of the pieces of wood is just slightly harder than the other laminate pieces on there. And that happens, so you have to be kind of careful with that. Okay. So we got our back on. I think I'll give it a little mark on this one too, just like we did on the other one. Oops. Hope to grab the right tool. About here. Right about here. Okay. That just gives it a little look. All right. We got a little bit more interest on this one than the last one. A little bit more interesting. Okay, now I know the boring part. We gotta sand this for a minute because we want to have a pretty bowl when we're done. Oops. Helps to turn it the right way. Ugh. I'll tell you, by the way, getting a wood turner smock is a great investment. It really is. A wood turner smock, I wear a couple different ones. I have one for summer and one for winter, but my summer one was getting pretty dirty, so it's in the wash right now. But having a wood turner smock, they're around $50. But they keep your clothes clean. They take all the brunt and abuse. They take the glue and everything else that goes on them, and it's just worth it to protect the rest of your clothing. And yeah, I highly recommend if you can afford it, get yourself a couple. And it has a couple interesting things. The pockets are back here, not up front, so they don't get filled with. You can see if you can see in the picture here, the pockets are back here, so you can put things back here. They don't get a lot of sawdust in them. They does get sawdust in this little pocket here, which is kind of a pain to get clean, but you don't get a lot of sawdust in the rest of it. So good little investment. If you can't do that, at least get yourself a good woodworker's apron, and that'll help some. That will help some. I think I'm going to have to put this on for a minute. Just Yep, I saw that. You can have fun with these. You can make each one slightly different. Well, that's really nice. I'll run that backwards in just a second. There we go. All right, now we're gonna go to the third one. Oh, hi. Mrs. 2 minutes is in the building, so you say hi to the wife. Or say hi to your dad. Well, this is the second platter. Or this one, I'm sorry, this will be the first platter. The first one was the bowl. So the bowl for the. So yeah, that's coming out nice. So let me take the helmet off for a second. She's the one who helped me make that mallet that you saw in one of my previous videos. And if you haven't seen the making the mallet video, you should. And if you're not part of the mallet challenge, you got all month of August. Did you get in there? I know Wilson, you said you were working on a design. So you guys have about 3 more weeks left to get that in the mallet challenge. And I don't know if the cupcake challenge is still going on either with the shoots. Mike, would you know? Or Mike, Mr. Wackenchack, would you know that? I don't know if anybody else is taking on the cupcake challenge out there. But the mallet challenge we put out a week ago and got a few responses, and I'm waiting to see the results of some of that. I got one picture already back. And you taking off?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for dropping in.
Yeah, I thought just say hi.
Just make sure I'm breathing. Okay. Good to come in, make sure there's a pulse. Yeah. She just wants to know if she's got the inheritance yet. No, that's not really true. I already wrote her out. And Mike, even if she inherits, you still get the tools. You and Marianne get the tools first. So. Yeah, Mike would look really professional as Spock. When he needs one, well, he needs one that's from a sponsor. Like he needs, Woodcraft or somebody to sponsor him with in a Spock. Now that he's got that nice slim body that he can put it in, he can show off. He can do kind of the look at me now. I can fit into my wood Spock. Where maybe he couldn't before, kind of thing. It's kind of the way it was with me too. When I finally lost some weight, I could fit into these smocks a lot easier than they could before. They used to be kind of tight. Now I can zip them up easily. So there we go. Hard to get down in those crevices, but there we are. So that's the you see the change to the outside. Okay, from what it was. Yeah, and I know I am not using. I haven't been using this. I don't think there's been a need to use this on these because the wood's coming out really nice. But I could be using those, and maybe I'll use that on the next one. I don't know. Let me see here. Put this down low. It's nice working with wood where you don't have to do any CA or any crack work or anything like that. Very relaxing doing these. You can knock these out all day long because it is really easy to do. Okay. Oh, that feels really nice to the touch. Okay. I'm going to take a second here, excuse me, just to vacuum out a little bit of this out of the way because we're starting to get a pile. So bear with me for 30 seconds or so. My vacuuming system is nice and quiet, so you don't have to worry about that. You can hear me just fine. That's because of that silencer I designed to put on there. I reduced the sound of a shop vac to about 65 decibels instead of 90 some odd decibels. You can actually talk over your while you're running a shop vac, something that most people can't do. And there is a couple of videos on that from about a year and a half ago on my channel if you want to check them out on how I did that. I really probably ought to put together some schematic on how to build that thing at some point. I knew I do get a lot of inquiries about it. Okay. But the whole system over here works really good. And I can turn you just. Oops. Sorry. That's what it looks like. And it's got a dust deputy on it. And seems to work out good for me, you know. The dust deputy collects all the dirt. Nothing goes down into the shop vac, which is in the bottom. And then about once a year I clean the shop vac. And it's usually just got a little bit of tiny dust, maybe about this much in the bottom. And the rest of it's all just collecting in the top all the time. And the sound waves come out the back and go through a series of chamber blocks that break up the sound waves. And that's how we reduce the sound. Pretty simple concept, actually. I'm surprised more people actually haven't done it in the past. At any rate, okay. Michael, the other day you said you were going to get a rubber band and put it on your flat rest. Have you managed to do that yet, or a head? I'm sorry, you were using a head and like for like a hair band. I think you said that tip I gave you the other day. We have a lot of tips on the website, on the channel. If you go back and look at some of our older videos, that's how the channel actually started. Was doing long videos and then doing shorts after that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we did long videos first, and so there's a lot of tips in the long videos. There's a whole section on. There's actually a two-part thing on just the lathe itself. You know, what to look for in a lathe, if you're thinking of buying a lathe, what you might consider. Of course, it's all just one man's opinion. You are you, and you do you, and you do with what you can afford and what you need. But as you are looking for something like a new lathe, it's good to have an idea of what you may like and don't like. For instance, I really like the controls being up here on my left hand. I'm right-handed, and I'm turning with my right hand on the tools here. I want my left hand to be able to come up here and hit the stop button, or to be able to control everything right here. Otherwise, if it's down on the left-hand side, or down on the right-hand side, I'd have to take my tool out, reach down here, get to it, come back up again, This way I can be staying in the same position right here. I can see my dials. It's not down here somewhere where I can't see it easily. It's all right up here, and I really, really like that. That's one of the things I do like about this Laguna and a few other models. Putting it up here makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Okay. So, we made a little bit different outside. We're going to have to make a little bit different on the inside. This is a chip bowl, or this is your snapping bowl. Right, I wanted to use this one. Just remember. I should get up to speed too. Maybe if I pay a little bit more attention to what I'm doing instead of talking, right? There we go. That's prettier. I just noticed something. I'm a little bit high here, I think. I'm gonna have to lower this just a little. There we go. Now I can come in at a better angle. So my thinking behind this is that I want to sell these as a set. But I want each one to be unique. You know, because, well, first of all, it's easier to find your plate if somebody else grabs your plate. Right? So if you're at a party or something like that, it's a little bit easier to find your plate. And that way, I also think it gives it a little more personality. And it keeps people from getting bored. Or you, for that matter, right? You don't have to make carbon copies of everything. And quite honestly, as you learn with working with wood, it's really hard to make carbon copies of everything. It's really hard to duplicate exactly what it is you did twice. duplicate spindle turning, because you can actually take measurements and you can make adjustments, and you can duplicate what you're doing on a spindle turn between centers. But when you're working with live wood and you're working with only one angle to it, it's really a lot more difficult to make exact copies. And it's not as much fun. You're only limited by your imagination on a lathe. I mean, I know a lot of people think there's only certain things you can turn, but it's not really true. Keeping you from killing you. I like when Jeff does beadwork. Why? Oh, well, I don't do it very often, honestly, on stuff that I show on here. I do it more on stuff that I do on my own time. And of course, these are just straight in. I wasn't doing any rollovers or anything like that, which you can do. You can do a lot of different kinds of beadwork. Probably going to have to start this pretty soon. Two bowls might be the limit on. On this without getting a fresh edge. Which is going to lead me to another tip I'm going to give you in just a couple of minutes here. We're going to stop and I'm going to give you another good tip. We're going to discuss in a while. So, Mike and Michael, you can pay attention. Alex, can you understand? A little bit of a drag out there, so that probably has to do with the sharpness. So, one of the things I was going to say, let me take my mask off for a minute here. Whew. So one of the things I was going to point out, as you start to accumulate more gouges of different styles, it's good to have a couple different grinds to them. You don't want one grind for everything. It doesn't work. Bottoming out grinds, you want a more shallow angle. Outside grinds, you can use a little bit more aggressive angle. Something like this. This is a 45 degree. Now, as you can see, I wrote 45 on here. But another method that's really simple for a lot of you to do is just get some paint and designate each color to mean something. For instance, this green might say 50 degrees. and this blue might be 55 degrees, okay, as an example. So every time you see the blue one, you know, oh, those are my 55-degree gouges. Oh, this is my 50-degree gouge. Makes it a lot easier to keep track of them. And, you know, and it doesn't wear off very fast. If you write on the bottom of these, it will last for a while, but some of them tend to get rubbed off pretty quickly. So be aware of that. But that's one good way to keep track of it. The other one is actually check your angles about once every week or two. And you know, and that makes a big difference. You'd take American weather any day. It's 100 and I want to say 106 today. Tomorrow's going to be 108. And then it's going to cool down next week to after a couple more days in the hundreds. Plus, it's going to cool down to a nice 98 degrees Fahrenheit. But right now, the day starts off around 75 and goes up to 100. So, you know, I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but there's some days when I'd take the Scottish weather, you know, or England weathering, you know, I'm more of a cold weather kind of guy. That's just me. Okay, so put this back on. Go back at it. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, that would really help the channel out. Cost you nothing and would really be appreciated. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know? And I do read and respond to comments to all my videos, so if you go back and you watch any of my videos, and please feel free to do that. If you go back and look at my videos and comment, I will get back to you. I usually get the most comments within 24 hours or less. Sometimes within 10 minutes, depending on when it comes in. Nice shavings. I'm still trying to get down there. Something here. I'm not sure what it is. With a little something in the wood there or something. Well, you know, I think I'm going to sharpen this. I'm going to get this over here and get this set up to 35. Nope, I got this set up to 45. These rafters are really handy for setting up your sharpening system. I use the Wolverine or one way. I use my 2-inch block right here with a penny in the end. Gotta check myself. Yep, that looks good. Dip a little bit of water here, move it off. Put it back on again. And that's going to be a really good. Okay. Feels pretty good. Alright. We can go back to it. Okay. And right about here, I have to curve this up just a little bit. It came in just a little. Trying to keep the shape inside, match the outside somewhat. This laminate is kind of fighting me just a little bit. We're about as, yeah, we're getting there. Okay. Now I'm going to take my measurements and remove some of this. Where am I at the bottom? I'm about a ½ inch on the bottom. And I can take a little bit more out of there, and I can take a little bit more out of there to get to right there. Okay. I'm going to take a little sip of my apple juice. The thing about being a diabetic, you gotta watch your sugar all the time, make sure it's doing okay. So, okay, I'm going to try taking this out a little bit more. Okay, now we'll go to the scraper. Okay, let's see how that goes. I think that's much better. Okay, so now we'll double check that, but oh yeah, I'm a 1/4 inch here now, which means I'm only an 1/8 inch from the bottom there. So we'll just sand this out, and this should be done. Well, actually we got to sand down and seal it, but it'll be done. And we'll have a plate to go with our dip cut situation here. So on to the next. Bring that down a little bit. Okay. One final one. About 340. Nice and smooth. This is pretty hard wood. I mean, it's not hard wood, but it's pretty solid. Pretty solid wood, and it takes a good shine. Takes a good sanding anyway. Okay, so let's get this on here. I see there's a whole 24 people watching right now. I haven't bored everybody to tears yet. I do appreciate those of you that are still on here. The waning parts of the day in some places. It's got to be what? Well, it's 2 something here, so it's got to be 5 or 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock over on the East Coast. And guys are getting home from work. They haven't eaten and gone out to their shop yet. People overseas are going to bed. People in Australia are waking up about now. Or pretty soon. So maybe we'll get some early Saturday risers to go with our people that are just coming home from work. We can get people from all over the world. And say hi to all of them, right? Let's see. What grind do you have on your gouge for the bottom, Paul? That was a 45 degree that I was using on the gouge, and then I was finishing off with a skew. I mean, with a scraper that had about a 38 degree on it, which is much more than usual. 39 degrees. It's a little bit more than usual. It's a little bit more aggressive that way. A lot of times you'll put only about a 9 degree if you're really finishing the bottom. And the 9 degree is good for doing a final one, or using a negative rate scraper. You can do that too. Thanks for asking. I see somebody was removed from the chat, looks like. Okay, well, at any rate. Realistic Woodworking, hi all, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. So you were close? You were trying to guess? Well, okay, well there you go. Yeah, you can do your scrapers at all different kinds of angles. This one, as you can see, is pretty aggressive. Right here. But other ones that I have are less so. This one's much less aggressive. I got different scrapers for different jobs. So, you know, like to use as few tools as you can. That's like Mike says, we're kind of on the same page there. You notice I did most of this turning with only 2 gouges. And again, that small bottom. And again, we were pretty close to the bottom. Let's just check it out. See that gap right there? That's how much wood we have on the bottom. I left probably 3/8 of an inch. Maybe not even that much. When you can hear that sound, you know that you've gotten pretty close to the bottom. So this one has a little angle to it. I've put a little OG type thing to it. Okay, got the lines in there. This one comes out a little bit different than its predecessor. So now you can see the difference between the two. You got one for the dip and one chip bowl, kind of bowl. And of course, there's much larger too than the first one. So we just keep going like that with different ones. They're all about the same depth and very lightweight. If I think when I get all of these together, they're not going to weigh more than about a pound for the whole set. The more you use, the more you have to sharpen. No, that's true. Oh, you were saying 40-40 grind? Yeah, Mike. I was actually playing with a 40-40 grind the other day. You're absolutely right. I went back and kind of changed it back to about a 45. 40 is pretty, I don't know, it didn't give me the control I liked, and I got to practice more with it. I do have one here that's snubbed off close. That's the one my wife just got me for my birthday, right here. And you notice it's not winged or anything like that. And I can get down into a bowl. I've got the secondary, you can see here real closely. It's got the main grind, and then it's got a secondary grind, so when you're coming around the corner, you can come in like that. And I haven't used this one today yet, but I do like using that, and you can see the difference between that and this grind I was using on the inside of the bowl, which is a little more aggressive, a little more pointed. This one is a little bit more rounded. And you can see this has wings on it. This one does not have wings on it. And the one I use on the outside of the bowl, this has big wings on it and a little bit more aggressive angle to it. So 3 different bowl gouges. All of them are the same width. They're all, well, what you would either call 5/8 or 1/2 inch, depending on what you call it. If you measure the inside or you measure the outside. Then I also have this one here, which I also have a wing on. It's a more of a 50 degree. This is a 50 degree with a short bevel, not long wings on it. And I use this sometimes for getting inside or also working on. I can actually do an entire bowl with this one, the way it's set up. So it's all in what you want to use. And it's really up to you and what you get used to using. You can use your own grind angle. I don't tell anybody there's an exact grind angle because there isn't. It depends on the woods you're using, how dry they are, how wet they are, how aggressive you can be with the wood, and so that makes a big difference, you know, between them. What are the popular ones you guys like to use? I mean, I know somebody said 40-40. You do have to make sure you sharpen it a lot. You're absolutely right. What wood was this? This is actually a tabletop wood. Is what it is. It's actually, with those pieces are laminate. This is the tabletop, and you can see here, piece of wood, piece of wood, piece of wood. So it's actually laminated. You don't see it as much on this side, but there's a piece, and there's a piece. You can kind of see the lines. But that's what I'm turning. I turned one with this side as back, and I turned one with this side back. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. The advantage of using the tabletop part side is that it's nice and flat. This tends to be a little rougher, not quite as flat. But you know, you can do anything you want. You can use it either way. So, hey, you know, let's see. It says, "Damn, I only have one bowl gouge in the shop right now." Well, you know, like, I'm sure you're going to have more. I'm sure you're going to have more soon, Mike. But yeah, you know, you pick them up over the years. You sometimes you catch them at an estate sale or something if you get lucky. More often than not, what I find at estate sale are generally spindle turning tools, not tools that I can use for this. I have to go out and buy these. This is a carter. The carter makes really good tools, very expensive. A set of carter gouges is about $400. But they were pretty nice to me when I was dealing with them. The Hurricanes are a really good value. They're generally made by Crown. In fact, you can see the emblem here on it. So they're generally made by Crown over in England, so they're good. I've got a Sorby. Here's a Sorby fingernail grind. It was originally a fingernail grind. I reground it. I didn't like the fingernail grind. I thought it was too pointed, too aggressive. And you can turn pretty good with this one. I'm going to turn with this one really well. It still works pretty good. But as you can see, this grind is actually better for the inside. It's a little asymmetrical, which means this side is higher than this side. Okay, I like to do the asymmetrical grinds. This side is higher than this side on this one. This is generally what I use for doing the outside of the roll. And yes, I should have had my helmet on, but what the heck. If Mike didn't need it today, I don't need it, and to hell with OSHA. Right, Mike? But always wear your eye protection, and preferably a face mask. The reason Mike has a face mask is because about a year and a half ago, something came flying off and hit him in the face mask, and that really made him a believer in face masks the next day. In fact, I think we were ordering one for you as that happened. I think Rich or somebody sent that to you. I can't remember now. And yeah, I've been turning for a long time, so I have accumulated some. And the problem here is your tools get shorter. Okay? And I'll give you an example. These were of the same length when I bought them. This is now 2 inches shorter. It's getting to the point where pretty soon I won't be able to sharpen this like I have been. And when it gets to that point, I'm not going to be able to use it for that. I'll have to probably take it out. And that's why I got another Hurricane here recently to replace it with. So that's why I have another one. I'm not a big fan of these smaller ones. They're okay for spindle work, but I don't really like them for turning work like this. There's not as much of a surface area for cutting, and they're okay. But this is the problem you get when you buy a set. When you buy a set, sometimes you get tools that you don't want or don't need. You're better off to buy individual pieces. Yes, it costs a little bit more to get individual pieces, but if you're getting tools that you're not going to use, you got to deduct that from the total price. So if somebody said, "I'll give you 3 tools for $300," but if you buy them individually, they're $150 each. Well, think about it. If you only use 2 of those 3 tools, and you're going to pay $300 either way, you might as well get the 2 tools you really like instead of 3 tools and have one that sits there and doesn't do anything. So, you know, it's not always a bargain to get them in a set. You're usually better off buying individual tools that you think you need for your type of turning. The only sets that I do like is like this one here, and Mike at the Whack and Shack and I have been talking about this for years now. This set of Benjamin Best's, about $40 from Amazon, is one of the best scraper sets I've ever had. I've been using this set for 3-4 years now, at least, and I've sent sets out to other people, and you know, and they're just you can't beat them. They're nice and heavy duty. They're flat. They take a good sharp edge. They're M2 steel. For $40, you're getting 2 M2 steel scrapers, and they do a phenomenal job. You just saw me use this one on 2 different bowls, and you know, they're great. And again, I'm not getting paid for any of these guys. I pay for every one of these tools. This is not an endorsement or anything like that. I'm just showing you to help you guys out a little bit on some of the things you could be using. But this is a Robert Sorby. And I do have some carbides. Everyone says, "Oh, you don't use carbides." Yeah, I use carbides. I don't need to. A carbide is basically a scraper, right? That's all a carbide is. It's a scraper. And quite honestly, if I'm doing the outside here, I can do better with my scraper than I can with this carbide. See that? It's okay, and it's going to make a nice finish. I can take my gouge on the side edge and do this, and I don't need that tool. I can do the same thing right here. Okay. So you can use one tool to do a lot of different things. You can use one gouge and get a lot of different things out of it. And having a tool that does more than one thing is always a good thing, right? Let's see. I have scrapers, although I did modify. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did modify yours. I think. Well, one of the modifications you can do is you can actually put a. Well, you can do 2 things. You can put a wing on the edge here, so when you're coming up the bowl, it's got more scraping edge. Another modification is you can put a thing on the other side to do dovetailing. You can actually put a notch on the other side here and do for dovetailing. And what I'm using, I happen to have a Laguna. There's a lot of good models out there. The Laguna's good, but I gotta say I like my one-way tool rest better than the Laguna rest, and that's why I switched over to it. That's why you see me using this one-way. You know, so yeah, I'm not a brand snob by any means. I know some people use Powermatics and other things. Let's see, that's on my list. I have a Powermatic on the other shop, but my friend shop, I'm going to get a Laguna. I'm happy with the quality of. Yeah, well, Lagunas are good. I mean, the quality's good. Their service is not the best. I'm going to tell you that right now. They are slow. Okay. When my tool rest broke, and my Laguna tool rest broke, and you can go back and you can watch the videos on that. I'm not going to go through it here, but my tool rest broke, and I ordered a new tool rest from, or banjo, I should say, the banjo part. I ordered a new banjo from Laguna, and it took as long for this to come as it did for my one-way, and my one-way came from Canada. And the people from Canada, the only reason it was taking a little bit of time was because they said, we're having a little bit of a problem, but we'll fix it. We'll take care of it. And I said, okay, that's fine. You know, I'm up for that. So they, the reason they were having a problem is because they had to make a special adjustment to it to make sure it fit my my tool. There's a little cam down here that needs it has to be special for that. I'm going to find a little dowel while we're talking here. I'm going to make a little fix before I get too much further, because this was originally held together. This piece of wood here, the tabletop, was actually part of the middle piece, the part where you insert it in the table and make it wider for for guests and so forth. And that's going to be it. I just need to clean that out. And so what happens is the little peg that was in here popped out. So I think I might have to go a little bit smaller. Maybe I got a little bit smaller one here. My wife, unfortunately, has a lot of different pegs. Ah, that'll work. Okay. I'm gonna dig that out just a little bit. Probably should drill that out a little bit, make it clean on the bottom. The things you do to make something pretty, you know? The things you do. But since we're sitting here talking, why not? I think that's about a 6/16. Talk about an odd size bit. But it had these pegs that went. Okay. It had these pegs that went in there, and that's what holds it together when you're putting the sliding the two pieces together of the table. So that's what this was. This was the middle piece for expanding your table. Okay, I'm going to drill it out just a little bit. Just make that a little deeper. Put that in there. That's perfect. That will work. Oops. So there's a way around everything, right? We just have to be. Put my drill bit back. Having a couple sets of brad drill bits is really handy too, and keep them dedicated just for your wood turning work. Don't get them confused with your other types of drill bits, because otherwise they will get lost or taken, and you will not have your drill bit when you need it. Okay, I'm gonna let that go in there. I'll put a little dust around that. Push it down into the hole around this thing. Let that sit for just a minute or two, and we'll saw that off and continue with our turning. And don't anybody tell my wife I stole a half an inch of one of her dowels, because I'll have to answer for that later. But the good news is, and this is just for you, Mike. Mike, I'm going to use your mallet. Make sure I can tap that down in there real good. And I'll follow it with mine. So good, we used them both. This is part of that mallet challenge, guys. So, you saw one from Mike at Whacking Shack. This one's mine. There's others out there. I'd like to see some more of those mallets. If you guys have the time to make one. I'm going to let that set for just a minute and see what it says here. Hi, Knot. How you doing? Had a good look out of Laguna Sanders, and yeah, Laguna makes good tools. I'm just saying that their service is not the best. Okay, I've had to remind them before. When they sent me something before, they sent me something that didn't work properly, and it took me 2 or 3 emails to finally get someone to answer correctly. They just don't respond. You know, like they respond like machinists respond. there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying they're a real bad company, but they respond like machinists respond, not like a customer service person would respond. They really don't have a robust customer service department, in my opinion. Okay. I don't use it very much. It's in the back. Yeah. Powermatics are nice machines. That's for sure. Gotta be careful here since the glue is still setting up. I don't want to overcut. Okay. All right. Now just sand that down so that it fits in there. All right. Okay, and clean the rest of that out with the final turning on. So, I'm going to fix that little hole. Thank you for sticking around while I was doing that. Did one on this side too. So it has a couple of those from each side. Oh, there we go. You like when a bull blanks out cheese round? Well, this was square, and I cut it. I cut it round on my bandsaw. And to that point, there is a great tool. A lot of people like to use compasses to make circles, and you can make this yourself. I just happen to have one that I used, but basically you just need a piece of wood with a pin that you can adjust. This one I like because I can adjust it so I can make it bigger or smaller. Okay, find the center, and then just take your pencil and go around like this, and it gives you a really good mark. But here's the key: make sure you make a mark with your centerpiece so that you know where the center is. Because after you cut it out, if you don't know where the center is, you can still make it awfully out of focus. You don't measure and put it right there. So when I'm making a circle, I make sure that I really indent this, and then I go back and I put an X over it so I know where it is. So when I'm putting my faceplate on, it's right in the center, where it's as accurately as I can be, and that saves me a lot of work. But a simple tool like that is a great way to do your circles. I use compasses too, but they're just not as handy. Okay, so let's round this out a little bit. I'm doing that right now. So now when I turn it around, I already have a flat top, okay, of the bowl. Alright, so we got pretty good there. We still got a little bit of a flat spot. Alright, so we're going to have to do that just a little bit more. So now we need to kind of design this one. So how are we going to design this one? Okay. Okay, so let's see here. What do we want to do this time? Do we want to maybe do a round over? I already did this part, so we can't do a round over. Okay, well, let me put my helmet on and we'll just kind of play with it and see what we can come up with. we'll just play right. Alright. Maybe this one we go straight up here instead of OG. Maybe just go a V shape. Go right up here. Then right down here. I better think speed it a little bit. There we go. Ooh. And I'm going to move this in a little bit. Kind of shaped more like a cereal bowl now. Just be right down Big Dog's aisle. Making that big cereal bowl if you like. Okay, there's that. Okay. Now we'll go on the well, let me clean that up a little bit, I guess, first before we go any further. There we go. That made a nice clean. That really cleaned it up. We'll need just a little bit of sanding, but it's going to be back a lot cleaner. All right. I'll move this up a bit. Clean that off just a little bit. Alright, now, gotta check myself, make sure it's flat. Oh yeah, that's nice and flat. Okay, that's good. And sand that off there a little bit. Finish spot. And then go up here. There we go. Alright. It's thirsty.
Oh.
Okay, guys, keep it clean. My wife's back in the shop.
My dad just called.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Yeah. So 1 year ago today.
Oh, yeah.
So they went to the site.
Okay. Yeah. 1 year ago today, my mother-in-law passed away, and my father-in-law was 91. He was just reminding us of that. Thank you for that. Okay, let me double check myself here. I think I got a little bit wider than this. Oh, just fits in there, so I'm just going to clean it up just a little bit. I'm getting really good on my tens today, man. I'm really hitting it. And, living under a lucky star or something, I don't know. Sometimes I miss it by a mile. Today, for some reason, I'm just really hitting it just right on. Okay. A little bit deeper than I normally do, but well, I'll clean it off and we'll do the same. Clean that off. Put my little marks on there, Mike likes. Right here. Another one right here. That one's a little more pronounced than the other ones. Yeah, a little more aggressively. Alright. So, sand it off a little bit. Turn it around. We'll have 3 different types of bowls done up here today, right? So let me try this one. We'll put this on. Wood takes a nice sanding and polishing and polishing. It's not going to work on me either. Okay, that's enough. Well, now you can see that lemonade. You can see where this was one piece, this is the second piece, and then all this is the third piece. So when we're turning the inside, we're going to have to be a little bit careful because this is not held on by much. Once we take away the inside, there's only going to be a very small piece of this piece of wood. So we have to hope that this glue that they used or whatever really holds. And yeah, so we're going to have to be really careful with that. So let me put a little bit of finish little Howards on there. Probably getting tired of watching me paint. It's kind of like what it's doing. It's like watching somebody paint. But we have to kind of do this on the surface while we have it on here because it's a lot easier than doing it once it's off the lathe. Much easier to do this way. Now I'm going to take all these, I'm going to remount them. Maybe do some final work on them later on when you're not watching. I might do it with the vendor members because I do have memberships. If you're all interested, we do have memberships, and sometimes we'll go on and do that separately with the members. Have a little conversation if there's enough people in there to talk. Sometimes I do members and there's nobody there to talk to. I'm talking to myself, kind of like today. So we only got 24 people in here now. I was kind of hoping we'd have a bigger crowd, but you know, it is what it is, and YouTube is what it is. It's Friday night, so people are out doing things, I'm sure. Besides worrying about wood turning. It just happens. Once the weather gets worse, people are stuck indoors, numbers don't usually go up. But if you are new here, please hit the like button. Please subscribe, more importantly, because we really need the subscriptions. We are getting so close to 5,000, so you might be the one that puts us over the top today. You never know. Or it puts us a lot closer anyway. So, do me a favor, do everyone here a favor. Get me to stop talking about it. And go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. All it takes is pushing the subscribe button. And you'll be notified when we're having new lives, which we do every week. Sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. And also when I post videos, I sometimes post shorts and other things. If you're a subscriber, you'll be notified about some of those too. It just keeps you a little more connected to the group. Okay? So, what's this say? I'm sorry, I missed something I said. Hey Mike, I finished your video. I need some tortillas now. Okay, well. Oh, for the rolling pin. I get it. Okay, I get it. I haven't made a tortilla press on live yet. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe that's the next one. Making a tortilla press, Mike. There you go. Big Dog just gave you an idea. Okay. Well, guys. Oops. Here's the outside of this one. And this is the profile I put on this one for it. Okay. So again, a little different. We'll take this off. Okay. Love these little face plates. I get these face plates on Amazon for about $7. And I've got a bunch of them. That way when I'm doing a job like this where I have like 5 or 6 things to do, I can just chuck them all up on the faceplate ready to go. And I don't have to think about it. Saves me a lot of trouble. And I can have other ones chucked up too, so I'm all ready to go. Also, sometimes you're in the middle of something, if you only have a couple faceplates or a couple chucks for that matter, I have 3 chucks. Mostly because I like to have them set up different ways. This one has the small jaws, this one has wider jaws, I have some with 10 jaws on them. You know, a lot of guys do the same thing. Just because it's a little bit of pain to sit there and take these all off, put the other ones back on, back and forth. It's just a little bit easier to have more than one chuck. Plus, some chucks are just better at certain things than other things, so that happens too. Okay, let me see. It's spinning good? Well, that's spinning really good. We got a nice good feeling. Okay. See, Mr. Wilson, if you're still in there, this is the tenon does make the big difference. You're absolutely right. Now, again, this was the front of the. This was the top of the actual tabletop. Sort of looks like a wood flooring kind of situation. And it may have been kind of the same situation, quite honestly. And I think for this last one here, we have to come in and scoop at an angle down the whole way. Okay. We're going to try, I think I'll try this other grind that I have. See how this does. Wow, that makes nice curls. Shirley Temple will be proud. I'll wipe that off of there. Okay. Now let's see if I can. Well, that's out of the old fingers. Oh. I think I'll take a little bit shallower line. I'm telling that. this thing. I think I'm going to go up to speed. Up a little bit faster. See what we can do here. We need to lower this just a little bit. Kind of angling down towards the middle. Okay. Friction's really making that hot. Yeah, I gotta ask you guys a question. I see every time I look up here, I see the same 24 people watching. Now I gotta know: is it the same 24 people, or are some people coming and going? Because I see the same commenters in here. I don't see 24 commenting. So, if there's some new people coming in, please put the comment section. And if it's just the same 24 people for the last hour, call your friends up and tell them to watch. Yeah. Get them to come in here and say hi. My hand's going to sleep a little bit on me. I'm not sure if I like this angle on this particular one or not. I'm still kind of feeling that out. Since I'm turning essentially the same kind of bowl 3 times with different gouges, you can get a feel for which ones do the best job and which ones do you like. You can kind of go back and evaluate and say why did one work better than the other. Okay, I think they're just about centered out there. Okay, so you can start working towards that beam down of the from here. Kind of match the outside. So make sure I see the same angle. The best way to do that is to look down on the bowl so you can see when you look on the outside. By mimicking the outside with the inside. Whoa, 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 that was dumb of me. Sorry about that. I'm gonna knock my microphone out there. Well, there's a little chip I'm gonna have to fix. That was just carelessness and probably spending too much time on the turning here. I'll have to fix that. So, get over here and fix that up right now. Whoa, I guess I should fix it on here first. Yeah, that's the first little accident we've had today. Ooh, that's strong. Everything's good here, okay. Good. It burned my finger a little bit too from the friction on that metal when I touched it. Okay. Well, just goes to show everybody can get hurt if you're not paying attention. So just a little bit right there, okay. Okay. And the sinker. Yeah, like and subscribe. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, thank you. Mike's on a mission today to get me to that 5,000 mark. I don't know if we'll get there, but you know, still says 24 on my side here, so I'm not sure what's going on. There's 24 people watching. If I'm going to keep knocking my microphone off, you guys are going to disappear altogether. There. That curve right there, that cut I just did, is exactly what this was made for. That coming down the bowl. There. That is actually the depth we want, pretty much for that bowl. Right there. I'm going to have to measure the rest of it. Let's pull this out. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be real careful because I'm going to tennis in there. And right in there. Okay, I'm going to use a scraper to get that cleaned out. I think that's the best way to do this one. I'm also getting a little bit of a wobble here now. I didn't have before. Not sure where the wobble's coming from. I'll fix this lava before it becomes an issue on the bottom. Yep, we are very much to the bottom of that. Any more and we are going to be through the bottom. We can do with that. We can deal with that. If you want to be careful. Okay. We'll have to hand sand that out. We'll have to hand sand that on out. There we go. We can go with the next one here. cereal bowl for Big Dog now. Good. Don't do that. Put a little finish on this. Put our tools away here. So, you saw me use a lot of different techniques to get the same results, roughly the same results anyway. You use a lot of different gouges with a lot of different angles on them, because not one angle is perfect. That last one, I'm not sure if I want to stick with that 45 on that particular model. Might be a little bit hot, but it was really good for going down the side of the wall on this particular design hole. So for that, I would say it did what I thought it would do. I'm just not sure if I'm happy with that for future use. Okay, let me get this finish on here. Okay. So Michael Black and Shack, can a person do 2 or 3 hours of turning? Yeah. I'm 71 years old. I just did 3 straight hours of turning. So yes, you can do it. Yes, you don't want to drink a lot of water before you start. No, I'm not wearing anything special. I'm not wearing the pins. I used to do a lot of speaking in front of large audiences, and you get kind of used to controlling your needs while you're on stage. But I will say this, it gets a little harder in your 70s than it was in my 40s. You know what I mean? That's interesting. That little line there is not from us. That is from the wood that was in here. Interesting. Okay. So there's one coat. These obviously are going to need a couple, 3 coats to finish them off. But for now, we'll kind of wipe it off so we can look at the 3 different nibbles and go from there. And again, it was not the 1/8 inch thick, 1/8 inch mitered tenon that caused the problem. It was the stupidity of the person turning the wood. So don't get the two confused. The tenon worked just fine. In fact, it did miraculously well. It held up really well considering. Didn't break through. This is very thin. I got this one a little bit thinner than the others. Let's just see how thin we got. Well, about that thin. About not even 1/8 of an inch. That's pretty thin. This is a really light bowl. It has a nice curve to it. The outside curve and the inside curve match, which is what we wanted. So now we've got the three different shapes of bowls. We got this one with the little OG on the outside, sort of. We got this one with a nice dish to it, and then we got this one that's more of the dip bowl in the process. And we still got a couple more to do, but I'm not going to do them today. But what do you think, guys? Is this project worth trying out? I mean, this was just 2-inch found wood. That's all this was found wood. It cost me nothing. And it should go for a reasonable price. I should be able to get, I don't know, $30 or so for the set. Something like that. Time flies when turning projects. Yeah, that's absolutely true. So this was just three very simple bowl styles. I didn't want to get crazy. The next two I'll probably do a little bit even more unusual than the first ones. But I just wanted to show the basic shapes and then something a little fancier. You could color this. You could actually burn this if you wanted to with a little burr rope and make that dark if you wanted to. I don't think I necessarily need to do that on this one. I may go back and put a line on this one. I did on the bottom. I did on the bottom of all three, just so that you know they all come together. But you know, everything has its own way of turning out. I may go back and turn. I don't like the bottom of this one very much. I may go back and turn that out just a little bit more. And again, that's why I like having this recessed tenon, because I can just slap it back on and turn it again and make more of these. So you know, that's the advantage. And all three of these bowls are nice and thin. They're not. I didn't leave a thick bottom like sometimes, especially new turners when they're turning a bowl. First of all, they make a mistake and go through the bottom of the bowl, and then they get really nervous and they make their next few bowls way too thick in the bottom. That's often what happens. So it takes a while before you get that thing where it's a nice, consistent side and bottom all together. And using something like this, these calipers are really inexpensive. They're about $10-11. You can get smaller ones. This one's kind of big because I sometimes use it for bigger bowls, you know. And it's this width that you're worried about. It's not this jaw width, because your jaw width you're trying to get right here. It's the depth in the bowl, because this can only go in about a 6-inch bowl and come around. Okay, so when you're getting these, think of the length here, not the separation between the two sides. Okay, that's what's important with this. And it hangs up really easy too, so that's always a helpful piece. Okay, well, I think I've thrown enough ideas at you today. Is there anything else anybody has any questions about before we call it a day? I really appreciate all you being here. It still says there's only 24 people on here. And it says I started streaming 103 minutes ago. That's kind of odd, too. Let me see something here. I don't know why it says 103 minutes ago, because it's been 3 hours. It's 4 o'clock. It's just after 4 o'clock here. Hey, Alex, thank you. The 3 hours should be 2 hours and 40 minutes. Maybe it's stuck or something. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe there was a lot more people in here than I think. But, you know, who knows. Anyway, I appreciate you all being in here today, guys. And really thanks a lot. And thank you, Mike, for leading everyone in here today. That was very nice of you. I know you didn't originally have a training plan, but boy, did you draw a lot of people to yours. I hope you like this new angle that I'm doing on the camera, because I think the new angle is really helpful for you to see me and to see me working, and I'm not in the way of it as much. So I really think that helps out. And thanks to everybody who gave me that suggestion and advice. And I've got actually 2 different camera angles set up here, so I can actually do another overhead type if I needed to too. But I don't like to move the camera around too much; it makes people seasick. So, so you like the new angle there, Dan? Thank you very much. And if anybody wants, I don't think LJ was in here today, but tell LJ I did at the beginning of the show. I put his sticker on my refrigerator. And so if any of the others want to send me stickers, get in touch with me through my email address on my channel, and we can do a sticker exchange. Make sure you get your mallet pictures into me, guys, and I'll be talking to you real soon, probably early next week or something. You never know. Members, you might get a couple surprise videos and lives coming up in the next couple days. Oh, and there is going to be another. Video coming out probably tonight or tomorrow with a very unusual scoop that I came across, and I thought you guys might like. I already sent a picture of it to Mike. Whacking Shack. Please check out Whacking Shack. Check out 77 Rockets. Check out Michael Wilson's channel. Check out everybody's channel. There's a lot of them out there. So, Big Dog, we need to get you back on here too, doing some turning, or maybe we need to do one together again. I think we tried to do that once before. Maybe we can do a joint turning again sometime. But guys, thank you very much for being in here. And I will talk to you all later. Bye. Lots to clean up.